Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, P Funk, Thinker Right, out here in the lab in the wee hours of the morning, where I can do what I do for you in quiet. I got a nice lesson for you today. Let's work on that one because opening the third eye, activating the third eye, talk about the pineal gland. Slew heads up. Let's go. Right isms, 25 will live by, 20 storytelling, story with a message. Message is in the story for life. I give life lessons and I give spiritual enlightenment lessons. Today's going to be a life lesson about opening the third eye. Let's go. And I appreciate you tuning in. Let's do this. Right thinking mission. That's what I'm on. Is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. It's a spiritual thing. Right thing is way of life through mental and spiritual discipline. hmm Daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. That's the question, and that's the mission that I'm on. That all right thinkers do just that. I appreciate the comments, and I really appreciate the views. So let's do what we do. The question: know thyself. If you don't know yourself, I'm your man. Why? I can help you with that. But here's the question: a person who knows not, but knows not that they know not, is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not, it's simple. You teach them. That's my favorite kind. That's why I appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got you. That's why I do what I do. It's for you. A person who knows not and believe that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows but knows not that they know is asleep. I can awaken them with knowledge of self. I'm the spiritual alarm clock. I'm here to wake you up with just that knowledge of self. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinking, know thyself. And to my eye, be true. I'm seeing a whole bunch of people talk about how to activate the pineal gland, how to open up the third eye. I've been trying to get you to do that for the last 5 years, but I digress. So let's get another lesson. Hopefully, I can get my point across to you since I got a few people paying attention now. That I got your attention. Let's go. You see, we you will have to use this thoughts, thinking, aka right thinking, to what? To raise your five senses to the next level, aka the sixth sense. Thinking, thought is the sense that y'all seem to overlook for some reason, but let me just break it down and see if you agree with my concept. We don't count thinking as a sense. Front part of the eye, if I use my eye on, the front part is the smell. The nose senses danger before anything else. Okay? The eye sees, visualize whatever's going on, the danger. Okay? The ears hear oncoming or impending danger. Touch. You can get close enough to touch it. The last thing is taste. The last thing you want to do is put whatever it is in your mouth. But when you come into the world, the first thing you get, you going right to your mouth. So you have to learn this quiet understanding. The brain takes in information from the five senses, but the brain operates on the sixth sense, thinking, thought. Without that, your sense of smell, your sight, hearing, touching, and tasting, it goes null and void. Why? Without the thought process, they don't work. So understand that. The sixth sense is what? Having raised your consciousness to what? Its highest level, aka gnosis. Know thyself. It ain't good enough to believe. You need to know. And when you have the sixth sense working, your pineal glands open, aka the third eye, that's your activator to your higher self. Another lesson there, but that's the concept. How ancients knew that a long time ago. That's why it was imperative that you open your third eye. You got your Kundalini rising by living Mayat. when you're in your meditative state of mind, anybody who is conscious, spend time meditating. Watch this. Why? Because you're using your sixth sense. You're shutting down your sight, your smell, your hearing, your tasting and touching. You go into the meditative state of mind, which is all mental and spiritual. You marry the mind with the heart. You got heart-mind coherence. When you go and understand how to meditate, you take messages in from what? Your higher self, aka Akashic Records. The knowing all the concept, that's where it comes from. But what is this? With thoughts, when you have mastery, you control your thought process. Block out the negative, keep in the positive. When, what's this? I tell you, I'm spiritual, not religious. Religion is dogma that if you follow will get you to a certain level. And if it's done right and correct, it'll even get you to have that mystical experience, meaning it will awaken you, it will make you conscious, it will anoint you into Christhood if done right. So I have respect for religion. I know the intent. I take spirituality. Why? Because when you're doing God's work, He don't hold you to a religion, He hold you to the good work. Let's move on. He don't say, well done, my good and faithful Christian, Muslim, or Jew servant. Okay? We all can do that. Why? Because I think, right, it's my heart and mind coherence that I learn. Because once you know thyself, once you become conscious of your higher self, you know that you and him become one. Father and I are one. The kingdom of heaven is within. All that good stuff that y'all taught, I'm telling you where it comes from. It originated out of the Egyptian concept. So understand that, my Christian friends. Open your third eye is becoming conscious, becoming awake, aka Nihas. Or they call it ESP, extrasensory perception. Yes, and that's true. But it's not something that, no, we all had the ability to do that. Thinking is a sense. Thought, the brain working is just like the nose, eye, ears, and mouth. So it has a function to do. The eyes send the message to see. Nose send the message to sense, to smell. The brain is in the back, in your head, in the dark. It don't know nothing except what the senses, but it has its own function that once you get acquired and master that, that's self-mastery. That's right there in philosophy. Let's go. Thinking is a sense, watch this, is a function of the brain, your mind, that without its use, nothing will work. When the brain is at work, you sleep. You're unconscious, you're in deep sleep. The body is of no use to the brain at that time. Why? It don't need none of that to do what it do. Its own function. That's the dream state. That's the Akashic record state. That's the meditative state. Okay? Trust me. When you study, and you learn the spiritual truth, and you add the meditative part in there, watch this, and you live by them, guess what? I call it spiritual discipline. And through spiritual discipline, you hold yourself accountable to do what's right. And by doing that, you are blessed. Why? Because that's what's recognized by your higher self. Yeah. Six senses is all mentally understanding of what? Mastering the five senses with what? Being conscious of that. Lucid dreaming, astral planning, all these are things that the mind work on. That's the sixth sense. Oh, he got extrasensory perception. We all do. Just those of us who are conscious of it, who use it and master it, those ones who exhibit it. Those who don't, can't. I only can teach what I know. So if I study and learn, that gives me the opportunity to teach. If I stop studying, stop learning, no go. Moving on. So your five senses can be what? Fooled by what? Your sixth sense, your higher self can't be. Why? Because it's the one that's operating on the next level. The eyes see, okay, they say believe half of what you see. Sleight of hand, yeah. So half what you see, but the ears don't be none of what you hear. So the ears ain't reliable unless it's pending danger. There's purposes and reason. But when you in a state of peacefulness and contentment, your body functions will be on autopilot and the brain will still do what it does. Trust me. That godly, that gut feeling, that voice in your head, the concept of the goods, an angel on one side, devil on the other, all those is Maya concepts. That's where they come from. Balance, equal opposites, one good, one bad. Together they make a whole. We familiar with the yin and the yang concept. That's again Maya. So that's the idea. When when the voice in your head, that little twins, that's your higher self trying to get your attention. And if you listen to that voice, you'll never go wrong. If you don't listen to that voice, you're guaranteed to go wrong. Why? Because human, we gonna make errors. Spiritual higher self makes no errors. So listen to your gut. Listen to that voice, whoever it is. Listen to it. It knows. Moving on. Now, we call it the Christians. This is what I want to understand with y'all. The mystical experience is y'all becoming anointed, enlightened, and knowing thyself. What the idea of what? Learning, be like Christ-like. That's the whole, he's the prototype of what y'all should do. That's what I'm saying. If I taught that concept, I'd be a preacher. So understand that I'm not teaching it. I'm just giving a concept and using it. You can live, watch this, just using your five senses. Yeah, you can live. You can live on the third level of knowledge and understanding and be beastly. Okay, be just like the animals of the field. When you raise your consciousness, that means you got empathy and compassion. That means you speak honestly. That means you conscious of who yourself. Third eye pineal gland opens up with what? Function, actions, good and righteous, virtuous things on a daily basis. Trust me. So if you're a Christian and do those things, you'll be blessed. Muslim, same thing. Jew, same thing. Spiritual, right thinkers, same thing. So I told my pastor, I got to God without the Bible. So I'm not going to him thinking I need a Bible to get to him. I tell my people, I'm not against the Bible, but I didn't get there through the Bible. So understand that. More than one way. That's what I'm saying. Question, how many ways is the top, how many sides to the pyramid? Some people, 8 if you do it right, 9 if you count the base. Quick, moving on. Watch this. You can live with just using the five senses, but what's up? You can live without any one of the senses, but take away the thinking and the party is over. Okay, the thought process. But without using your sixth sense, God consciousness, living right and functioning on the next level, that's what you need to do as humans. But if you don't raise that level, and you can do that blind, you can do it deaf, but you can't do it without thinking. So that sense you need. Moving on. Watch this. You can reach that state of mind, watch this, with daily practice of what? Virtuous living. The magic will happen. That's the problem right there. We have a built-in mechanism that when virtuous living makes that movement, okay? That's how it's done. Now, all your belief systems goals are to get you to have your own awakening, aka mystical experience, by giving you the story, the myth, have you follow the ritual, and if it's done correctly, right, and honest, you will have your own connection with God. He'll make his presence known to you, and that's in any religious concept you got going. Belief system is only get you there. Once you perform it and do it, that's the actual fact. That's the difference in right thinking philosophy. I want you to get there on your own by doing the things you need to do, not a whole bunch of nonsense. Moving on. Raising your CSF, aka cerebral spinal fluid. The crystals. That's it. Not a person. I done did that lesson. I'm done with that. But you raise your cerebral spinal fluid, and watch this. It happens when you what? Live righteous, a righteous lifestyle. God will what? Pay you a visit. I was just living, doing right. I wasn't thumping the Bible. I wasn't on my knees praying every day. I did pray, but I meditated. I did it without my way. And God let me know I was doing a good job. If you haven't talking to your higher self, get busy. Get his attention with good deeds, righteous lifestyle living, not sneaking, deceitful ways and thinking that that's going to be blessed. So moving on. The mystical experience only is the result of what? Virtuous and righteous living. You know yourself, and God is one when you become awakened or conscious or anointed. All those things, the same thing, nihas. Recognizing God for who he is. Those guys didn't know God. They wasn't conscious. That was me. I follow them. Now I'm on my own. My kids is following me the right way. Moving on. Let's go. Let me wrap this thing up. Appreciate you tuning in again. Watch this. But when you think right, that means learning, understanding, and functioning and comprehending. Watch this. Then you're gaining extra sensory perception power, aka knowing thyself through what? Right thinking, then right action. That's how it's done. Okay. When your thoughts are right, aka positive thinking, whatever you want to call it, and the thing is, when you manifest them, your extrasensory perception is in effect. That's what it does. Why? When you use it, it works. Daily practice of right thinking philosophy, aka or gaining spiritual knowledge, will get you what? Sharper spiritually and physically, plus you're going to service the whole part of your body. You're going to have to do some working out. You're going to have to do some meditation time and do some prayer time. You're going to have to put your work in to better yourself. That's what it's all about. Okay? Change it for the better. Having spiritual knowledge and not using or living by them is better not to have it. Why? Because it's a waste of time to gain it and don't use it. Better to have it and don't need it than need it and don't have it. And if you don't know yourself, sooner or later you're gonna need that, and that's what you find out. I say right thinking instead of just thinking. Why? Because you have to think right, not just think right to do right, not just haphazardly willy-nilly think it's gonna work out. No, it's a process, and how you conduct yourself and how you do things makes it work for you. Every individual is entitled to their own way. I say, if it's 8 billion people on the planet, it's 8 billion ways to get to God, because every individual has that right. That's the point. Ain't nobody no different. So I don't do the race thing. I don't do none of that. I don't got to have a problem with the gender, none of that nonsense. Okay? Let me wrap this up. Right thinking is what? Not doing what? The wrong thing. If I know it's wrong, I'm not doing it. Not doing the wrong thing more than once. Learn from a bad decision, aka a mistake. Once is a mistake. You can correct the mistake. If you don't correct it, it's not a mistake. Think about it. Habit, habitual. Continue to do the same thing wrong. Definition, insanity. Moving on. Excuse me. Last one. When you reach self-mastery, when you fulfill your obligation as the right thinker and personally reach that level on your own, that's self. It ain't about me saying, oh, no, you'll know for yourself. Okay? Hence self-mastery. When you reach self-mastery, you will have what? Tapped into your what? Sixth sense and mastered it. When you reach spiritual enlightenment, that's what it's saying. Your sixth sense has been perfected. You are spiritually enlightened. You know who you are in the sense of you and your higher self being one. At Judgment Day, ancients, they ask you, how Maya did you live? Your higher consciousness is the sixth sense. Your third eye opening is your sixth sense on the chakra scale out of 7. That means at the 7th chakra is above you, but 7 meaning you've blossomed. It all worked out for you, but you got to get the third eye open. You got to get the pineal gland activated so you can receive the information from God, not just in prayer or in meditation. Okay? You will have the ability, watch this, we all have the ability to what? Become God conscious. Opening our third eye, becoming conscious, knowing ourselves, aka Nihas. Okay? Six, personally, my favorite number. Also, my brain, aka right thinking process, from the sixth sense, what? Thinking and having control of the thought process that you're under is self mastery. That's right thinking philosophy. Moving on, last one, I appreciate it, go too long. Right thinkers, you learn how to what? Master, they learn how to master their sixth sense through what? Becoming God conscious by what? Following right thinking philosophy and end up knowing thyself. That's the goal. That's my time. I'm out.